on Christmas. That was good. That was good. You really go deep with each other when you lay out these kinds of things in a family setting. As we had some sweet and wonderful fellowship and prayer. That's the first experiential reason. My second biblical reason comes from 1 Thessalonians 2, 7 and 8. It goes like this. We were gentle among you, like a nursing mother, taking care of her own children. So being affectionately desirous of you, we were ready to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our own selves, because you had become very dear to us. That just seems so clear to me, that this massive theological giant called the Apostle Paul thought of himself as a nursing mother with his people. And he loved them so much, he just wanted to share the gospel, and he wanted to just dump some of his heart on them as well. So if it's apostolic to be that way, it just seems like it ought to be pastoral to be that way. And so I'm going to dump a little heart on you as well as gospel. And just at this point, I'm reminded, because I feel really emotional when I read that, the only times I have gotten teary-eyed in the last 2 weeks is reading emails from you. It's when other people express emotion toward you that it starts to become overflowing here. And so that's who I am. Verse 51. Here we go. We're going to look at this text, and then when we're done walking through the text, I'm going to show you how it relates to Prayer Week and reading your Bibles in 2006, and then we'll close with how it's been ministering to me personally. Verse 51. This mystery, behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, that is, die, but we shall all be changed. So the mystery that he's talking about here is that at the second coming of Christ, some Christians are going to have died, and some Christians are going to not have died, and both are going to be changed. That's the mystery. Now, what part of it he's focusing on, I'm not quite sure, as mysterious, whether it's the fact that some are alive or some are dead, or both together, dead and living, will be changed. But that's the mystery. Those whose bodies have decomposed in the grave will be changed. And those who are in the very prime of their teenage life will be changed at the last trumpet. So both will be changed, some alive, some dead, and both will be changed. That's the mystery. Then verse 52 begins to describe how. And the first thing he says, it's going to happen in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. There will be no process in this. There will be no development of your new body. It will be instantaneous. In a moment, in the blink of an eye, those molecules for the dead, in some mysterious, new creative way, reassemble, and they're whole. And we, whether we're old and very much want to be whole, or young and think we are whole, we're going to be changed instantaneously into this new reality. He focuses on two things that are going to change. Perishable condition, mortal condition. This, verse 53. This perishable body must put on the imperishable, and this mortal body must put on immortality. Now, what's the difference between those two words? There is a very, very significant difference. Perishable, as just like in English, means decaying, wearing out, running down. Mortal means it dies. And you might think, well, they're almost the same. No. They're not almost the same, because you can die when you're 5 years old. And you're not so much decaying as you're coming into your own. You're growing up into the place where you'll start decaying. And people die at 1 and 5 and 15 and 25 and 35. So yes, decaying leads to death, but both here need to be thought of not as the same thing. There's this process of wearing out and decay that every one of us is going to go through unless there's a sudden snatching. And there's death, which sometimes is the end of that and sometimes is smack dab unexpected in our prime. And so Paul says both of those are going to change. Both of them are going to change. When the twinkling of an eye trumpet happens, all the running down, all the decay, all the wearing out instantly is over, and the new body is made, and all the death is done away. We get those bodies which are different. That's clear from this text. Different. We're really happy about that. I mean, there's some young people who think they've got what they want, but they don't. They don't have any idea how glorious the new spiritual body will be. It will make the most beautiful body on this planet look like a rag doll, because we will be fitted physically and spiritually to absorb beauty from God in a way that if we had this body now, we would be incinerated in the presence of that kind of beauty and glory. We must have a much more resilient body to handle the magnificence of what we're going to be handed someday. So it's going to be different, and yet it's going to be like this one, because we know the disciples recognized Jesus when He had His resurrection body. It was quite the different body. It just kind of came and went and passed through doors, and it was really different. He could eat fish and go through doors. Don't understand it? Spiritual body, it's going to be different. We'll know each other. And then come verses 54 and 55. Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? And those are quotes from Isaiah 25:8 and Hosea 13:14. There are two images, swallowing and stinging. Let's work with those images. They're not the same, are they? They're very different metaphors. Death swallowed up in victory, and then death pictured another way, namely stinging, and it's gone. The sting is gone. Swallowing and stinging. I find a lot of help in the swallowing image, because death is an enemy. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15:26, the last enemy to be destroyed is death at His coming. So right now, death is an enemy. And it gets a kind of victory. A kind of victory, doesn't it? And yet, it is swallowed up in a greater victory. Now here's the picture in my mind. Did death get a victory over Jesus? It's a tricky question. Yes, a kind of victory. The devil, Judas, Pilate, Herod, the soldiers, his enemies, we did it. Got rid of him. But life came and He rose from the dead, and He didn't just rise from the dead like it's sequential. That whole thing was swallowed up in victory, so that the death was the death of death. It's a title from a John Owen book. Christ's death was the death of death. And so in a sense, you could say, no, it wasn't a defeat. No, it was the heart of the victory. He took on our death. He took on our sin, and He bore it. He died with it.